While you are watching this video, here is your task. On a piece of paper, write down 2 comparative adjectives that you hear me mention. For example, bigger, louder. Identify 3 phrasal verbs, such as dig in, eat up. There is an example of kitchen phrasal verbs coming up. Also, you're going to identify 4 modals. Examples include could, would, should, can, and ought to. I say more than 4 modals in the video, but you only need to find 4. Then record a video of yourself sharing all of the examples that you found. So you're going to start the video and say, in Professor Stockdale's video, she said 4 modals. She said must, can, could, and should, etc. Do the same with the others, phrasal verbs, and comparative adjectives as well. As a reminder, here are some examples of phrasal verbs you might hear used in the kitchen. I will give you one example that I say in the video now. In the video you are about to watch, you will hear me say cut up. I mentioned that you need to cut up the bananas. That is going to be a phrase that you write down on your piece of paper when I say it. Then when you make your own video, you're going to say, Professor Stockdale used the phrasal verb cut up when she was preparing the bananas. Okay? If you need to see this larger, it is also available on Blackboard. For now, we are going to start with my how-to video about how to make banana bread. Have your pen and paper ready to go and be looking for those phrasal verbs, modals, and comparative adjectives. Here we go. Welcome to Cooking with Professor Stockdale. Today I will demonstrate how to prepare banana bread. The first thing you must do is find a banana bread recipe. This one looks manageable. Next, you ought to gather all of the items that you need, all of your ingredients. Here we have bananas, sugar, flour, 1 egg, butter, baking soda, and vanilla extract. Before you start cooking, you must wash your hands. This is necessary, this is imperative, this is crucial. You may want to preheat the oven. We are setting our oven to 325 degrees. You could also spray the bottom of the pan now so that you don't have to do it later. This is a step I often forget, leading to sticky banana bread. Use overly ripe bananas. These bananas are riper than these bananas, so they are what I will use. Okay, it's time to whip up some banana bread. Now we're going to chop up the 2 ripe bananas. Make sure that you are cutting up the bananas into small chunks. You're going to mash these next. In a bowl, mash up the bananas using a whisk or a fork. Add 1 cup sugar. You should always check your recipe to make sure that you're using the correct amount of ingredients. Also, add 1 egg. You need to melt the butter before you can mix it in with the other ingredients. I recommend melting the butter for 10 seconds at a time, stirring in between. This butter is much softer than the hard butter, and it will melt into our ingredients very nicely. Add the butter to the other ingredients and mix well. You can leave some chunks of banana in the mixture. My personal preference is to have chunky banana bread, but it's up to you. Next, add 1.5 cups flour and stir. You should always make sure that you're measuring correctly by checking the recipe. Add 1 teaspoon of baking soda and a dash of pure vanilla extract. Last ingredient is a pinch of salt. Don't forget. With all our ingredients in the bowl, you need to mix it up very, very well. After you transfer the mixture into your loaf pan, you can slide it into the oven. After all this time, the oven is now hotter than it was 10 minutes ago. So I'm going to insert the mixture and let it bake for 1 hour. Now that the baking is done, I will ask my husband to clean up the kitchen. Oh wow, he did that much quicker than I thought he would, let me tell you. After 1 hour, take the banana bread out of the oven. My husband is laughing at me because he thinks I burned this banana bread. Let's see. Okay, moment of truth here. Let's check it out. Oh, not bad. Time to dig in. Eat this up with a nice cup of coffee, if possible, or some milk, and enjoy. Now it's your turn. Using the paper in front of you, create your own Flipgrid video, identifying the 2 comparative adjectives you heard, 3 phrasal verbs, and 4 modals. If you would like extra credit with this assignment, you can also complete your own how-to cooking video, but this is optional. Bon appetit!